it's kind of like a domino effect. You know, you've heard the expression, you know, what was that domino in your life that tipped over, that, you know, steered you in a different direction in your life. And it's all of the relationships that were born out of being here, out of connecting with people. I remember my very first think tank, I was very intentional about wanting to connect, wanting to learn, because Nelson described it best. There's always something new to learn. There's no such thing as having arrived in knowledge. Yeah. I had no idea what I didn't know when I first started coming here. And that's how you and I met. You and I met a few years into my journey with this process, and you were someone that I wanted to learn from and that I wanted to connect with. And that's what happens here at the think tank. It's, yes, there's great presentations, there's great topics that are discussed, but it's the connection within the group of people that are here that can create life-lasting relationships. This is exactly what I share with people when they ask that question. Hey, what am I going to get out of think tank? A different way of thinking about it is, what can I give and what can I learn at think tank? Right. And so it's just a different way of thinking.
You really can't get without giving.
All day long. Yeah. The world gives to givers and takes from takers. And so if you're here at the think tank and you're intentional about being giving, because we're blessed to be able to pay it forward and to be able to share with other people and help be that domino that tips over for them in their life as well. And so I would not miss a think tank for anything in the world, unless, God forbid, it was a family emergency or something that would otherwise prevent me from being here.
I agree with you, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but I agree. I wouldn't miss one. The only time I missed one was online. Yeah. So, but I was still participating online, so I didn't really miss it. Right. But it wasn't the same as,
it's not the same as being here. There's something to be said about being present here in Birmingham with people who are like-minded. Nelson described it best in his book that you don't have to be a lone ranger. Surround yourself with like-minded people, and you'll grow. Like you will, you'll not only flourish in the relationships that you build, but you will achieve a higher and greater degree of abundance because you're around people who understand you.
Yeah. Yeah. So how have you seen the, you're going back 13 years. Yeah. I mean, so what, you want to comment on the evolution or your experience over that time period?
Yeah. I would say that when I first began my journey, there were so many people, there were hundreds upon hundreds of people that would attend here, but people were attending more so from a sales and marketing. I want to be here so that I can learn to drive sales, so that I can learn how to market. Right. And what Nelson did such a great job at in helping people to understand that it all begins with the way that you think, and that infinite banking concepts has absolutely nothing to do with life insurance. And I didn't realize that at the beginning of my journey. I didn't understand that. So I was excited, ambitious, and perseverant, and I wanted to sell, and I wanted to be really, really good at it and be a top producer, and all of these things that I realize now are not as important as growing in your thinking so that you can pull other people up with you. And so that's what I've experienced in my journey over the years. I can't speak for anyone else who's attending Think Tank, but I do know that the people that you and I are today are not the people that we were 13, 14, 15, 20 years ago. We've grown because we've embraced the philosophy of rethinking our thinking. I've seen, a big transition when the Nelson Nash Institute was born, and when the Nelson Nash, the Authorized Infinite Banking Practitioner program came to be, and there was that exodus of people who weren't wanting to buy into that, change, and that happens. But the people who are still here today that were here then, I respect dearly, and I'm humbled. I'm humbled every single time that that I'm here and I see people. We just witnessed a bunch of people getting their certificates on stage and celebrating them, right? They're on their journey now, and hopefully we can be a domino that tips over for them, right? So they can sit down here 13 years from now and say, I remember when I was there, the first Think Tank in 2023. And,
if you're able to convey the message of Nelson Nash.
Yeah.
The becoming your own banker, the fact that you can control the banking function at the you and me level.
Yeah.
As a professional, everything that you want will follow.
I agree. I like to say, in addition to that, James, that if you serve the people versus serving the money, really, really great things will happen.
Absolutely.
And Nelson always said, right, everything begins with the way that we think. And he didn't say, you know, what a peaceful, stress-free way of life it is when you have, you know, the best policy design. He said, what a peaceful, stress-free way of life it is when you get the bankers out of your life. And that's really, truly what it's all about.
Yeah. So, man, I just appreciate you being here. I appreciate you, you know, sitting down and taking a minute.
I'm humbled. Thank you for asking.
Why should people, if you're a practitioner or a life insurance agent, a financial professional, and you're going down the rabbit hole of discovery of the infinite banking concept, and it leads you properly to Birmingham, Alabama, you know, why should they maybe consider participating and becoming, you know, a recognized practitioner, authorized NNI practitioner, and participating?
Well, I would say quite simply that it's a platform comprised of people where you can build a future that's bigger than your past. And if you're watching this or you're listening to this or a combination of both, one of my other mentors, Dan Sullivan, often said that your eyes only see and your ears only hear what your brain is looking for. And so there's a reason you're watching this. There's a reason that you're listening to this. And you will become a better version of you by being here, by being around people. And it's not just attending for a few days and then going back to the way things used to be. It's actually being receptive to and being humble and, you know, really being intentional about learning and rethinking your thinking.
I'm here with Becca. And Becca, I just want to ask you, how do you implement the concept into your life? And if you're a practitioner, you know, what is that like for you?
Yeah, well, we're fairly new as far as my family using the infinite banking concept. We've had a policy for about 1.5 years, and you know, just lately we're remodeling our kitchen, and so this has kind of been the first time that we've had to think about taking a pretty sizable loan.
Right.
You know, so then you kind of have to put your money where your mouth is. Okay, well, let's see. I could take a loan. I could pay cash. I could, you know, take out a HELOC. And just going through that whole thought process and still coming back to no. Policy loan, that's the way to go. It checks all the boxes. And then I pay that back and that money's there to use again.
Wow.
And so anyway, that's been exciting for us to say,
Absolutely.
wow, this really does work. And, you know, I actually came from being a complete skeptic about 2 years ago.
Wow.
I first saw this
you were kind of letting
presented.
the noise hit you.
Well, not even that. I'd never even heard of this.
Oh, okay.
But I came from a camp that might say cash is king, buy term and invest the difference. And so a friend of mine had invited me to a presentation with some kind of these types of concepts, maybe not IBC in specifically, but I just went to keep her from making a big mistake. I thought, this is whole life. It's got to be bad. It's got to be a scam. I'm going to go protect my friend. And what I heard there, I just had never heard anything like that before, and really set out to see if this was for real. And obviously, from being here and now being an authorized practitioner, obviously came full circle in that journey. So
that's great.
Yeah.
I have one more question.
Okay.
Have you attended the event for both days? And
Yeah.
And how has it been? Like, have you enjoyed the talks? Has there been
Oh, my
anything you can take
goodness.
home with you?
This is my first time, so never been here before, and I think I had the same objections most new people would have. Oh gosh, that's a long way. That's a plane ticket. I have 3 kids. Like, you know, it's expensive. All the things. Business has been slow. All the things. But I've been mentoring with Bruce Wayner, and he just really encouraged me to. There's never going to be a good time.
Yeah.
There's never going to be a good time. Just come and you'll never be the same. And he was exactly right. This is from the people to the atmosphere and just what's being created here at the Nelson Nash Institute. It's truly amazing.
That's excellent. Well, thank you so much, Becca.
You bet.
I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening. How do you implement the concept in your lives?
So for myself personally, my entire family practice it, so it makes it a lot easier. So we're constantly looking at how we can expand our private capital to do the things that include investments and things like that. And it's a constant, ongoing conversation.
You know, like with any good information, the impact that it had on me personally is why we came on this journey, why we wanted to teach this to other people. And so how we implement it, it's in every aspect of what we do now. It's the foundation of everything that we do.
Wow, that's awesome. I have one more question for y'all. I understand y'all are practitioners, and so I just want to know, like, from that viewpoint, is there anything really exciting that you feel like you can take away from the talks in the last couple days, and how do you think that's going to affect your workflow moving forward?
One thing that I'm really encouraged about is just the vision going forward for the NNI, the practitioner program, and one thing that also encourages me every year is just the room of selfless leaders that are here. The integrity that is in the room is just, it's felt. And, that's one of the things that we both experienced as we've been going through this process and building our business and being mentored by others, is just the selfless leaders in the room, the guys who are just willing to pour into you.
That's excellent.
For me, I concur with what Nate's saying. We've been on this journey for 5 years. It's become the fabric of us wanting to teach others through some of our hardships. But the thing that I would say would be basically Nelson's words of, if you're going to be in a business, you need to be in two.
Yeah.
It's the one you love in banking, and you better understand banking.
I'm here with Shantae Nicole, and I was just wondering, how do you implement the concept in your life?
Well, it's a day-to-day thing, and
Right.
the number one way to implement it is first by understanding that we need money to move in our lives, period and point blank. So I think about the times when I did not have a lump sum of money that was available to me. If I had, how would that have changed my life? How would that have put me in a better position? So I look at it from that standpoint. The last emergency that I had, how did I go about, how could I have changed my life if I had access to? Because there are times when we have money problems, our backs against the wall, we have to do what we have to do to find those funds. But now I get to paint that picture for clients.
Yeah.
Not just in my life, but my family's life. Not just my family's life, but their friends' life.
Yeah.
And so on, and pay it forward in that very way. I was able to actually leave a 9-to-5 and use infinite banking to create a whole new life and career for myself, based off of infinite banking that I was taught by my mentor.
Excellent. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I have one more question for you. How have you enjoyed the events so far?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, Connor. So what I see is this heart. There's this, I look at the practitioners that are here, and this is why I love to come. This is my second year coming, but it's like a heart that's pumping together,
Right.
and it's functioning together, and it makes me feel alive. Like what we're doing as we separate and go our different ways, we come together and we're re-energizing. We're getting that alignment back. Because there's so much noise and static that we talked about this whole entire time that's out there, but it's so good to come back to the simplicity of what the message is. We want financial freedom. Everyone wants financial freedom.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah, so that's my number one takeaway is financial freedom, and it doesn't have to be difficult.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for about 20 years now. My office and our organization has been here since probably 2002, 2003.
Wow.
And we've taken some years off, but we've been back consistently over the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, and just love it. Love to see the record crowd and the opportunities that we're able to expand and show new people, new young people. We're so glad to see the young folks starting to take part in this, and just appreciate the opportunity to be a part of it.
Thank you. And Doug, I was going to ask you, what have you thought about the presentation so far?
Presentations have been great. Presentations have been so ranging from one end of the spectrum to the other. I think, it's such a great thing to hear young, new people's perspective, as well as the old veteran guard that has been here for a long time and their perspective, to bring the two together. And the great part of it is that the core of what everybody's saying is the same thing. So it's the same common message to push NNI, to push Nelson Nash, to push the infinite banking concept forward on a foundation that everyone is thinking and doing and acting the same way. It's very powerful.
This is my second NNI think tank. The first one was so good that I decided to come back. James Nethery spoke at the first one, and it kind of kind of got my wheels turning, and I decided, hey, I want to dig in a little bit more
Sure.
to the infinite banking concept. And James has so many videos, good quality videos on his site, and I just figured, hey, why not learn from the second horse's mouth, on how to implement the IBC method. And so that was kind of my genesis to getting into IBC. He was actually the first guy that I found after I looked at Nelson's book, and I actually bought my first Becoming Your Own Banker book from the James Nethery site. So
wow,
yeah,
well, thank you so much.
Yeah, so and it's exciting to now be a practitioner and have gone through the course material. So I'm really excited to get going in the IBC world and set a footprint.
That's great. I'm so happy for you. I have one more question for you, JJ. Of all the talks that we've listened to the last couple of days, is there anything exciting you feel like you're going to be able to take home with you?
Well, as James Nethery would say, don't be afraid to pay a premium. So setting up my own policy, I pre-funded it before I came down here. So I'm going to tell myself every day, don't be afraid to pay a premium. And that premium should eventually match my income. So that may take a little while longer to make happen, but it's the systems of policies over generations. And that's something that, I can see implementing over time with my family members and generations to come.
What brought you here today?
Well, what brought me here was Nelson Nash. The story goes back, but I learned that I was doing finance the wrong way, and it was essentially not understanding the flow of funds. The conventional way that everybody thinks about money, we give it to somebody else, they manage it, and we get what's left, and it's usually a lot less than we started with. And Nelson's approach allows us to become our own banker.
Yeah.
And by becoming our own banker, we control the capital. We have a vision of the future that we could never have had without Nelson's footprint that he laid down for us to follow.
Absolutely, well put.
So,
and I just want to ask you, of the talks that we've heard in the last couple of days, has there been anything that stood out to you or remarkable things that you're going to take home with you?
Yeah, I think it's all actionable. Being here, there's no replacement for being here. You're surrounded by tremendous people. They're all of one mind of understanding that economic freedom and personal freedom go hand in hand.
Wow.
And so, look, you can't do better for yourself financially than to learn about infinite banking, get with a practitioner. They're all across the U.S. and Canada, and learn how to do this. And James Nethery is a great one to start with.
Jake, it's been tremendous. If you have been practicing this, if you've been following Nelson Nash for any period of your life, you realize quickly you are countercultural. And when you arrive here, all of a sudden you're among like-minded people. And that's a situation that most of us, unless we're practicing it with family members and friends, you're not familiar with in day-to-day life. So you get here, it kind of catches you off guard, but you settle in, and it's tremendously encouraging. Absolutely.
But how do you implement IBC into your life, the infinite banking concept?
Oh, so that's a good question. I'd use it many different ways. One, to control the banking function, obviously, right? Things I'm going to finance anyways: vehicles, homes, real estate,
right,
investments, kids' education. So it's really a tool I can use in many different ways.
That's excellent. And how has it been your experience, like getting here today? Like, what led you to coming and attending the think tank? Like, how did you get here?
So that's a long story. I really started off as a client of James Nethery, who you're with, and it was such a great experience, such a great tool, and it opened my eyes that I wanted to get my friends and family involved, which naturally led to me becoming an agent, and now I'm here.
That's excellent. And I attended yesterday, and I saw that Kerr actually received his practitioner certificate, so I just want to say congratulations to that. And along with that, how have you felt about the seminars from the other speakers, and how does that impacted the way that you feel about the concept?
Oh, it's great. I love hearing everybody's perspective. Part of coming here and being part of the community is really great. And, they say iron sharpens iron, so it's good to hear everyone's perspective and see where they're coming from and see what they're doing, see what I haven't considered yet, and see, just different ways to look at it.
I understand that you got your certification while you're here today, or yesterday, actually.
That's right.
What's that like for you, and what do you expect for your future?
Well, I tell you what, it's kind of like drinking, from a fire hose. I really feel like I just started learning. I just graduated the course Again, it's so rich of information. I know that I'm going to need to continue to read, and learning never stops.
Right.
But I would just say I'm so happy to be a part of the NNI and what it's bringing to the table and how it's changing people's lives financially and beyond. So
that's excellent.
It's beautiful.
Matt.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I have another question for you. In your time here watching these great talks, has there been anything that stood out to you or anything particularly remarkable to you?
Just the extreme professionalism of everyone that was given the talks, just the highest level of understanding of just business, economics,
Right.
financials, and even character. I'm just really impressed with, all of that. So we're hitting on so many levels of just financial knowledge. Again, character, integrity, business, systems, it's at the highest level. And I'm very impressed, very happy to be a part.
That's excellent.
Hey, Richard, how many years have you been at this?
Oh, that's a great question. My first think tank was in 2012, and I've been at every one since, with the exception of one when my son was born, who is also a policyholder. He's got 2 policies. I got a new one for him recently. He's now 7, and I'm very excited about what that's going to do as far as the generational aspect that we're creating in our family system. And we're starting to have a lot of fun now communicating, talking about the family bank meeting. So we're actually going on a little bit of a family getaway here in about a month's time. And at that, we're going to have our next family banking meeting. Now, my kids are young, so they're not very long. We make sure that there's a treat, ice cream or Smarties, whatever it is that they want, so that we can get them engaged in that conversation. But we're going to talk about what we need to do to grow the family's wealth and how we can work with the money in the family. And what we do as part of that meeting is we pay tribute to Nelson. So I have the book on hand. We talk about the impact of Nelson, similar to how, kids these days are obviously aware of things like maybe the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus, and they're a character in their life. Well, we're really taking a page out of, my colleague Jason Lowe's book, is to talk about how Nelson is really one of those epitomized characters in our life that we want them to grow up and understand his value and his importance. Attending the think tank, coming here, being a part of the Institute, where we get to learn these things, and all of it I've learned, all this stuff from Nelson or from people I've met in this room at this event. So coming here for the past 10, 11 years has really shaped all aspects of not only my financial life, my right down to the level of my personal relationships, the people I want to spend my time with, because you want to be around people who fill you up. They fill you up emotionally, with inspiration, with coaching, with accountability, and they give you the pieces of life that are going to help you accelerate all aspects. And then you get a lot of that when you come here to the think tank. It's about the people in the room that you're going to meet. It's the conversations that you have, when you walk out of the bathroom, when you walk out of the lunchroom. You just never know who you're going to bump into, and you don't know how impactful that message can be. Can I share a quick story with you?
Please.
I had an incredible conversation just late last evening after the event was over, which it's never really over, by the way. And I had a wonderful conversation with a young man, 33 years old. He's here at his second think tank, and he's experienced some tremendous health issues in his life, to the point where he's uninsurable right now. But he is here to talk about IBC, and he brings a unique perspective. Not only has he already had a heart surgery and 2 strokes and recovered fully, he's literally a walking miracle. He's going to be able to take that story and help people understand the power of what insurance can do for you in your life. And it's really just a blessing, because the things that I learned in that conversation, I would have never received them. And I wouldn't have received the inspiration if I wasn't here.
Right. I was going to also ask you, Richard, what have you thought about the presentation so far?
Wow, they've been epic. What's really amazing about the presentations this year, like they are with all years, there's a coherent theme that's taking place. And it wasn't even planned. What I'm hearing from the different presenters is that it seemed to just naturally occur to some degree, which is quite wonderful. It's really something to be said. And so not only are you learning a lot from the experience of others, there's so many people in this room that have far more experience than I do. And what they bring to the table with time served is a level of experience and wisdom. Time under your belt provides wisdom and reflection, which is one of the reasons why Nelson was such an important figure, because he had 88 revolutions around the sun to share that experience with us, and through a period of time that I couldn't possibly live. Well, I get the advantage of that by being a part of this event and connecting with the life experience of those that have come before me, and being able to harness the power of that wisdom put it in my own little filter and see how I can spit that back out to share it with others is a really powerful feature. And you can learn how to cultivate that skill by being here in this room.
So a couple of years ago, I wanted to buy a new home. And what I did was I capitalized my bank with the down payment. And it's something that I never even dreamed of before, that I could use that money and still have it working for me.
Yeah.
And since, I have there's other, friends and other people who are looking to purchase homes.
Yeah.
And it's something I can tell them from experience, what I did for myself,
Right.
that the money is not gone. I still have it working for me.
That's excellent. Well, I have one more question for you, Sheila. How have you enjoyed the event so far? And has there been anything from the talks that you feel like you're going to take home with you?
This has been an amazing event. And the one thing that I'm going to take home with me is something that we already use and think about, is that becoming your own banker is the Bible. That you don't need tricks, that you don't need backflips. All you need is the basics. And the book that started it all, you live by that book, you use that book, you teach that book, and then you just repeat.
Wow.
How many years have you been coming to this think tank now?
Right from the beginning, but I go back with Nelson to 1997, before the book, and I love coming here. It's just so energizing. It's so powerful, and it's great to hear the message over and over and over again.
And Tim, I was going to ask you, the presentations that we've seen here today, what are your thoughts so far?
Oh, they've been so awesome, powerful. When I say powerful, just like moving to the point of saying, like, what we're doing is really, really working, and it's helping people over and over and over again. And it's just it's such a blessing to be part of this group.
Thank you, Tim. And I just want to say on a side note, this man is my hero. I've been watching this guy for as long as I've been doing this. It's about 8 years now. And seriously, you're
That's
an
so
inspiration
kind.
to us.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
appreciate
Tim.
it.
The way we implement in our lives, we look at all the major expenses that we have throughout a year. And because we've been doing this since 2014, 2015, we have taken each one of our policies and almost given an assignment. So we started off with using it for our vacations, and as it grew, we used it for our vacation and our holidays.
Right.
And then we started using it to start our business with our overhead. We started building up to start buying cars, things of that nature. So we use it for our major expenses.
Wow.
Yes, for sure.
And have y'all been enjoying the event so far?
The event was outstanding. The information, the opportunity to hear the best practices of our peers and our colleagues here, they really care and share, and I believe it's going to make our firm, but more importantly, our way of working with our clients much, much better.
That's excellent.
So insightful. We just love every minute of it.